Welcome on back, everybody, and welcome to another NFL mock draft on the channel. My name is Absolute Illusion. You can also call me Colton, though. And today, we are doing something just teeny tiny bit different. We are going to be doing a full 7-round mock draft for my favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. This will be a non-trade based draft. I just want to do a kind of draft where we just drafted the picks that the Vikings have, no trades or anything like that. If you guys want to see me do one where I do accept or send out trades or anything like that, definitely let me know down in the comments. If you guys want to see that, I will definitely do it. But for this one, we're just going to be doing a regular full round through 7-round mock draft. Although technically the Vikings don't have a 7th round pick, so it'll really just be a 6th-round mock draft, kind of. But we're going to see what we can do. There's definitely some holes that the Vikings still need to fill. They've done a pretty good job overall so far of filling a lot of those holes. But there's still some really, really big ones, specifically on their offensive line. We could use an offensive tackle, a couple offensive guards even. Depending on what they end up doing with Ezra Cleveland. If we can get somebody like Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round, somebody like Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, that'll really kind of give you a tell on where they plan to have Ezra Cleveland, whether they leave him at guard or move him to left tackle opposite Brian O'Neill. And we'll just kind of see who falls to us. We might need another corner, maybe in the later rounds of the draft. Maybe a nice developmental prospect and stuff like that, due to the fact that we will probably be losing Jeff Gladney now. I'm not going to go into any of that in the video. If you want to learn more about it, definitely just hop onto Google and look it up. Before we hop in, though, if you guys do enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. 94% of the people that watch my NFL mock draft videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you could just take a quick second and just poke the subscribe button for me, I'd appreciate it a lot. But let's hop on in. Do a Minnesota Vikings 7-round mock draft. I don't want this to take super long, so I'm going to leave it on normal. We'll still be able to watch it all as it happens, and if there's something that I want to jump in on, I'll just pause the draft, and we'll just kind of roll with what we've got from there. Anybody who does not know, I am a huge Minnesota Vikings fan. I was born in Minnesota, currently live in Minnesota. Hopefully eventually we'll be moving out of Minnesota. But I'm a huge Minnesota Vikings fan. I love diving all in on like Vikings news and trying to figure everything out. And I've got a good grasp on kind of the team that they've got so far, and players at least that I would like to see them pick up in the draft. Again, as always, it's down in the description. I am not a professional. I do not do this for a living. This is not... I just talk about this because I enjoy it, and I like giving my opinions and stuff like that. This is somewhere we can bounce ideas off each other. Players we'd like to see them draft, players that I might miss. That's why I do this. I love doing this. It's a lot of fun. But let's start the draft up here. This shouldn't be any different. This is Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. All go top 4. Penny Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Patrick Surtain. So as I said, we will not be accepting any trade, so any trade that we get, we will be turning down. All right, so this is interesting. So there's 3 players here on the board that look really good. Micah Parsons is one of them. Micah Parsons would be amazing, because he probably shouldn't be here on the board right now. Micah Parsons is a flat-out stud, and especially since we're losing Anthony Barr, that is definitely somebody that we could be looking at right here. The downside to that is we do not have a 2nd-round pick, and a lot of the offensive linemen in the 2nd round are really good. So we couldn't really grab Micah Parsons and then grab an offensive lineman in that next round. So as much as I love Micah Parsons, I don't think he is the best fit for us. And there's 2 other players who I like just as much as Micah Parsons. They may not have the athletic talent that Micah Parsons has. They may not be as flashy of picks. But Christian Darrisaw and Elijah Vera Tucker. And this would be very, very, very telling of where they plan to have Ezra Cleveland. If you take Christian Darrisaw is your left tackle. Ezra Cleveland stick into left guard more than likely. and then you'd figure out what's going to be your right guard either later in the draft or possibly still through free agency if we can get somebody like Forrest Lamp in free agency. Still might be a possibility. Don't fully know yet, as we've still got about 3 weeks-ish till the actual NFL draft. So tons of things could still happen. And if you go with Elijah Vera Tucker here, that would definitely be you basically saying Ezra Cleveland is our left tackle, and you'd stick Elijah Vera Tucker at your left guard position or right guard position, whichever you feel that he might slide into better. He did play tackle in college, so you definitely could look at him as a tackle. But I believe Elijah Vera Tucker has a unbelievably high ceiling as a guard, and that is actually who I'm going to be drafting here. I am really, really high on Elijah Vera Tucker. It might be a little early for an interior offensive lineman to go, but I think a year or two down the road, no one's going to care when he was drafted, whether he was drafted at 14 or somewhere in the 20s. No one's going to care if he's a top-flight offensive lineman. And so that's who I'm going to go here. I'm going to grab Elijah Vera Tucker. Micah Parsons goes to the Patriots. Christian Darrisaw goes to the Raiders. That is a very, very good pickup for them. Now we're going to be waiting a little bit just because, unfortunately, we do not have a second-round pick. This is the type of situation where I think that the Vikings are a very, very likely team to trade back in the first round and pick up somebody that they still really like, and pick up a second-round pick out of it, because there's so many great players to be found in the second round that could really, really do a lot for our team. So Trevon Moehrig goes all the way to the Dolphins at 50. That is absolutely stupid. That is so dumb. How does that even happen? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. That's terrible. Awful. Got to decline that. Unfortunately, we are not doing any trades. That was a really good trade, though. I really liked that trade. But unfortunately, it's not something we can accept. There's still multiple players on the board I really like, and unfortunately, 2 of them just went right there. Richie Grant and Javon Holland were definitely 2 players I was looking at. Again, not accepting trades or anything like that. So we're really just looking at overall players here on the board. Josh Myers is definitely somebody we could look at here. Interior offensive lineman out of Ohio State. The offensive line, the way it would look right now, would be Ezra Cleveland, left tackle. Elijah Vera Tucker definitely at left guard is where I would probably end up sticking him. Garrett Bradbury at center. Cole probably at right guard at the moment, I guess. And then Brian O'Neill at right tackle, which is not a bad offensive line. I still think you could maybe use another offensive guard to kind of mix into there. But you could also look for like a wide receiver 3, like a Tylan Wallace. Somewhere in that range. You could also look at cornerback here. It's also something you could definitely look at. But I think when you look at the players that are still sitting here on the board, Amon-Ra St. Brown probably would have been the person that I would have grabbed at this spot if I was if I was the one who was actually drafting. But I think one of the ones I'm really looking at here are these 2 offensive tackles. Spencer Brown, 6'8.5", 314 out of Northern Iowa. Definitely more of an outside offensive tackle. Or Jackson Carman, 6'5", 345. Projects as an offensive tackle, but I think that he could play both offensive tackle or offensive guard. And I think he actually works a little bit more as a guard. So you're kind of just looking for best between Josh Myers and Jackson Carman, I think. 6'5", 312. And I think the way that I'm actually going to look is I'm going to look right here at Jackson Carman. I know that is 2 offensive linemen immediately right in the beginning of this draft class. Our first 2 picks on offensive linemen. But offensive line is 100% our biggest weakness, and we need to put a focus on that if we are going to have any chance of making a deep run at the playoffs. Our defense has been just bulked up in this offseason. Mike Zimmer's been given the go-ahead. Just grab any players that you need. But in the draft, you really need to look at that offensive line. You got to get good players in there. Protect Kirk Cousins. Give him time to get it to your playmakers like Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith Jr. There's so many weapons, but you need the time to get the ball to them, which has always been the Vikings' biggest weakness. So this is my attempt to try to fix that problem. We do pick here again at 90. And I think this might be somewhere that I look at a cornerback possibly, or even Somebody like Davis Mills here. Another possible, like, backup quarterback, maybe future successor. But that is not who I'm going to look at here, though. There's plenty of people on the board here that I really, really like a little bit more than him necessarily. And I think Trey Smith is somebody I like, but I don't need another interior offensive lineman. I think the player that I'm going to look at here, though, is probably going to be a corner. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go a little bit different route than I normally would here. Just for the kind of best player available mentality that I know the Vikings top brass likes to take, and the fact that after this season we will be losing Anthony Barr, I'm going to take a player who in Season 1 can definitely give you some good rotational ability and stuff like that, and even be your third linebacker if you don't think Troy Dye is it. I'm going to grab Chaz Surratt here, who can definitely, after a full season, take over for Anthony Barr in the position that he's in, and I think that he would be just a one-for-one swap after given a season to learn from the other linebackers that we have on our team. Plus, our defense is phenomenal as it is. The other player I was looking at was Benjamin St. Juste right there is out of Minnesota. Unfortunately, I don't think that the Vikings would end up actually drafting him because apparently, for some reason, Rick Spielman hates drafting Minnesota players, which is dumb. There's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. We pick at 119. We have a whole bunch of picks in the 4th round, if I remember correctly. And this one I'm going to be using right here on Tyler Shelvin, the interior defensive lineman, this defensive tackle out of LSU. Phenomenal player and could be a great kind of backup for the future for our defensive interior defensive line. Our defensive line is very, very good at the moment. We don't have a true right end right now, opposite Daniil Hunter, so that could definitely cause some issues. But I think that you could definitely find somebody really, really good, and that's actually what I'm going to look at here. I'm going to look at Patrick Jones. You know, I like Patrick Jones a lot coming out. I think he has a lot of the raw ability that you could really, really love and mold into a great player. I think that our probable starting right end by the midway point of the season is already on the team, and that'll be DJ Wanham. During last year, he really, really stepped up overall as a player and looked really, really good on the getting after the quarterback and stuff like that. And I think if you can get him built up even a little bit more, with the defensive line coach that we have being an absolute wizard, I think that you could have your next starting defensive end right there as well. But I think Patrick Jones is another player like that he has all the physical traits, just needs to be coached up in it. And I think the Vikings are the perfect place for him to do that. Kyle Trask is somebody I could look at here as well, but there's somebody else that I am looking at, and he just went off the board. Crap. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. That is not what I wanted to see at all. Actually, this might not be so bad. There's a couple of really good players that I like here. I just need to decide which one I like the most. No. Doesn't have the size. This might be kind of a weird one. It might not be something a lot of people would expect here at 134 because it might be a little bit of a reach here. But I am going to actually go with James Wiggins here, the safety out of Cincinnati. I think that the type of player that he is somebody that the Vikings defensive coaching staff would fall in love with as just a weapon you can use anywhere in the secondary, and somebody who could definitely be a safety for you, could be a corner for you if you want to build him that way. I think that he'd be an amazing player just to kind of mold into whatever the heck you want him to be. What other picks do I have, though? I have 143, Let's just pretend we're doing a trade. I have 143, and then I have 157, and then 168, and then I have my 6 at 199. So I pick a little ways from now. Do I think the player that I want will still be on the board? I definitely think that they will be still on the board. So it really just comes down to who I think would be better. And solely for the fact that I know how much Mike Zimmer loves his corners. You know, loves corners who have just a lot of physical talent and stuff like that. I'm going to grab Ambry Thomas here out of Michigan. Definitely a very physical style of corner. Somebody that I think Mike Zimmer would be like, hey, let's grab this guy. I like him a lot. Is the guy I want still going to be there? He is not. He went off the board. Crap. You know what? There's actually somebody else who I like just as much, and that's Shea Smith here out of South Carolina, wide receiver. What the heck? Can I click on him, please, so that I can show the people? What the heck? He's 5'10", 186. Definitely not a big body number 1 style of receiver, but he could be a phenomenal wide receiver number 3, playing out of the slot wherever you need him to play. He has great route running ability, very, very quick first step off the ball. Definitely on the smaller side. Definitely is not going to give you much of a physical presence, but if you're using him in the slot and you can kind of build him up behind 2 bigger wide receivers who are going to take the limelight, like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are, I think that he would be perfect as a wide receiver number 3. Again, this draft class is ridiculously deep when it comes to wide receivers. So even somebody here in like the 5th round could be considered a 3rd rounder in normal draft classes. So I think it's kind of insane how deep this draft class really is when you get down to it. To be totally honest, I don't necessarily think that the Vikings would be done on the safety side. We got wide receiver, corner, safety, edge, interior defensive line, linebacker, offensive tackle, and interior offensive line. This is an interesting one. This is a very interesting one, to be totally honest. This is a very interesting one. With this type of a pick, what Rick Spielman would do is he'd trade out of this pick entirely and pick up like 2 7th-round picks for it because he loves his 7th-round picks. It's ridiculous. Actually, I'm going to go this route because I know how much Mike Zimmer loves to get after the pass rusher. I'm going to grab Shaq Tony here out of Penn State. Just a pure edge rusher. That's basically all he's able to do right now is just be a phenomenal edge rusher. And when I say a phenomenal edge rusher, he can get after the quarterback ridiculously well. He just has no fundamentals and is not good in the run game at all. But if you use him as a rotational type of a player, pass rushing situations, or if you can even develop him into learning how to stop the run and be more of a all-around player, he could be a huge steal here in the 5th round. I think that's it until like 199 in the 6th round. And I think I already know what route I want to go if the player I want's still there on the board, which I don't know if he will be, but he might be. If he is, I'm going to take him for sure. And he literally went 2 spots ahead of us to the Patriots. That's Trey Hill is who I was looking at right there. There is somebody else that I like, though, in this later round. He's down here a little bit farther. That's Drake Jackson out of Kentucky. Interior offensive lineman out of Kentucky. 6'2", 290. Not very big by any stretch of the imagination, but is very, very quick on his feet. And again, more depth on the offensive line is definitely something that we need. Somebody who can come in and compete and probably somebody who the Vikings like to take the chances of grabbing players that they would maybe look at in UDFAs and not allow them to get to the UDFA. Undrafted free agent, for those who do not know. And I think that might be the type of player that they would want to not risk him getting there. And he does have a lot of upside in terms of being an offensive lineman. Even just as a backup offensive lineman, I like a lot. The big knock on him is his size. But aside from that, he has very, very good hand technique. Very athletic on his feet and everything like that. Just is not very big. So I think that's really going to be it all the way through the 7th round. So we're just going to kind of sit and watch and see if anybody interesting goes. Tay Gowan is also somebody I could have looked at there, the cornerback out of UCF. I like him a lot. Buddy Johnson out of Texas A&M is also very, very solid. A very nice player to look at in the 7th round. Josh Sills, Cade Johnson's still on the ball. Oh, there he goes. Never mind. He's right there. Never mind. Paris Ford. I forget that he falls down this far sometimes. Right. I guarantee you that by the end of the NFL draft, the Vikings will not have 0 7th round picks. I absolutely guarantee it because Rick Spielman loves his 7th round picks. Again, we did not make any trades. We did end up with 10 total picks, which is the amount that the Vikings have normally. That number will probably be closer to 12, I would imagine, once everything is said and done, especially after if we do end up trading back in the 1st round. It could also be somewhere around 7, though, if we feel the need to jump up from the 3rd round to get a player in the 2nd round. Maybe this is the year where the Vikings are like, you know what? We're not going to have 15 draft picks. We're going to have 7 or 8, but reach for players that we really, really, really want in a situation like that. Our draft looks as such, though. We have Elijah Vera-Tucker, Jackson Carman, definitely building the offensive line very, very early in this class. Chaz Surratt, Tyler Shelvin, Patrick Jones. Our first 5 picks, you've probably got 2 immediate starters, possibly. Elijah Vera-Tucker and Jackson Carman would probably step in and be both of your offensive guards. Chaz Surratt would definitely be a rotational, possibly your starting 3rd linebacker as well. Tyler Shelvin would only be a rotational defensive tackle with the developmental side. And Patrick Jones would definitely be more of a rotational guy, but you'll definitely get snaps out of all of them. James Wiggins would see the field for sure. There's no way Mike Zimmer lets a player like that just sit on the bench. Shee Smith could easily jump in and be your wide receiver number 3, jump ahead of Chad Beebe. Ambry Thomas probably would not see the field a whole lot, but would just be more of a player to develop into the future. Shaq Tony also not a player who would see the field very often, if at all, aside from if his pass rushing ability converts over to the NFL at a crazy level. And then Drake Jackson is solely a developmental backup interior offensive lineman, more than likely. A possible center if something were to happen to Garrett Bradbury. You could definitely look at Drake Jackson for that. I think this draft went pretty well. This is not how I would like it to go down in terms of the picks, because I would like to see the Vikings move around their players a little, or the spots that they're sitting in a little bit. And this could definitely look different over the next 3 weeks if the Vikings sign a couple more guys. If they do get somebody like Forrest Lamp, those first 2 picks would not necessarily only have to be offensive line like I have done in this one. But definitely let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you guys think it was a good draft, if you guys think it was a bad draft. I would be pretty happy with this as a Vikings fan. If anybody else is a Vikings fan, definitely let me know what you think. Make sure you guys hit the like button, though, if you guys did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of the content that I have coming in the future. And follow me on Twitter at AbsoluteColton, down in the description down below. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that. But with that, we will end the video off here. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.